Let's start by giving our praises to the Most High, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, and the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS who taught us his truth by the Holy Spirit. Honors to the brothers risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect who would be the so called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel according to scripture and prophecy. The elect will be 1/3 of the Israelites who in the last days will return back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai to receive salvation. By the 2/3 of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High in time be destroyed with America. And that's all according to prophecy. So we'll be back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. Lesson is going to be titled Egyptian Against Egyptian will begin within the government. Again, Egyptian against Egyptian will begin within the government. And the prophecy of Egyptian against Egyptian is pretty much the prophecy of civil war here in America. Not literal ancient Egypt, but spiritual Egypt, which America would be spiritual Egypt. And that's why the pyramid is on the back of the dollar. And before this year, as more prophecy began to unfold, I always thought that the prophecy of civil war and Egyptian against Egyptian would begin with the common American citizens. But as we see, this prophecy of Egyptian against Egyptian and civil war is going to begin up top within the American government. So, for example, what you got going on right now? The government shutdown. Why? Because the Democrats and the Republicans already at war with one another. That's the beginning of Egyptian against Egyptian. That's the beginning of civil war, conflict in Congress, conflict in the White House, conflicts, on all kind of different levels within the United States government. And that conflict is beginning to show itself and manifest in the outside world amongst the people, you know, with the ICE raids and deportations, the deployment of the National Guard and military in these cities. People don't want ICE agents or a military presence in a city and state. The pushback and the resistance of the people. So you got all kind of conflict and drama unfolding within the government, but also within the outside world. What we see going on in the outside world, among the people, the ICE raids and deportations, the military, law enforcement, the confusion, the drama of the outside world is a reflection of what's going on in Congress and in the White House. So again, Egyptian against Egyptian will begin within the United States government. And whatever conflict they got going on in there is going to show itself in the outside world. So we got a handful of videos to show that the prophecy of Egyptian against Egyptian civil war in America is beginning to come to pass. Now, we're going to start with this first video. And you see the title, ICE tear gas 27 Chicago police officers. So let's play this. As a matter of fact, let me get this precept real quick. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. That's the American people. And they shall fight everyone against his brother, everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. We see this playing out. But again, ICE tear gas 27 police officers. So now let's play this video, then we'll explain it.
Come on, man. Y'all know that was.
Officers arrived on scene. They met with the federal agents who were out there. The federal agents had deployed chemical agents. They deployed chemical agents while our officers were there. Those who will tell you that our officers weren't there, say that to the 27 officers who were affected by the chemical agents that was deployed by federal agents. There were 27 reports done to document our officers who were affected by that gas.
Catch the latest on this.
So you see that? So what's been going on? Trump has been threatening to send ICE, the National Guard, and the military to different Democratic cities like Chicago, Baltimore, D.C. And Trump has also been lying, saying that these cities are out of control. They look like World War III, etc. And the mayor and the governor of these different states has been saying, Trump, we don't need your ICE. We don't need the National Guard deployed. We don't need the military here. And Trump, has been deploying, ICE and the National Guard and the military to these cities anyway. And the government and the mayor of these different cities and states has pretty much saying, they're going to resist what Trump is doing. These different governors and mayors of these cities and states, they've been trying to sue Trump. They've been going to the Supreme Court, trying to overrule what Trump is doing in these cities and states. So again, you got Egyptian against Egyptian happening up top within the different levels and branches of the United States government. But all that conflict and confusion and drama that's happened within the government is playing out amongst the people in the outside world. Because Trump, he's going to send ICE agents anyway. He's going to send a National Guard in the military anyway. And then what? You're going to have, the mayor and the government resist this military presence. Then even the people, they're going to resist the military presence. From the common American citizen even to your local law enforcement. And that's what happened with Chicago. That's how Chicago police officers got tear gassed by ICE. That's Egyptian against Egyptian. Beginning up top within the government, but playing out in the outside world. Why? Because these different governors and mayors, etc., they don't see eye to eye. And that's real bad when you have, and see, ICE, that's like Trump's personal police military force, to do his dirty work. That's how everybody view ICE. That Trump's personal police force to do his dirty work. Everybody see what they've been doing, and they resisting them. And it's gonna be a lot more cases of ICE and local police forces going at it. And now this is not the only account. It's other accounts out there. You got ICE trying to arrest police officers. You got ICE shooting at police officers, tasing them, etc. There's going to be a lot more of that. And this is the beginning stages of the prophecy of Egyptian against Egyptian. Now, we're going to get to this next video clip. And let's see. We gonna push play.
Everybody needs to be documenting what's happening in Portland, Oregon, and sharing it everywhere. TikTok has taken down Portland, Oregon as a location that you can tag. They have taken down the tags, they've taken down the locations. They are actively trying to remove views of videos from Portland. There is a massive resistance going on in Portland right now, and I bet you don't know about it. Thousands of people, I'm not joking. ICE is attacking the police in Portland.
See that? ICE is attacking the police in Portland. ICE attacking the police in Chicago. And then what can they do about it? Because they were sent by the order of the president. So it's like, damn, even ICE is above law enforcement. And you got Trump, who's a convicted felon, who's a criminal. He's sending out a lot more criminals to these cities to harass the Israelite people. But let's continue.
The police. ICE is attacking the police. They pepper spray the police. They are beating people, they're shooting people, they are spraying them with pepper spray. I want to be absolutely clear about something. ICE is not working with the local police. I have no doubt that the local police have been told to work with ICE.
And that's the thing. Trump has been saying, he advises the different city and states to work with ICE. And said, whatever city and state that does not work with ICE, that these cities would be defunded. They have budget cuts. They'd be penalized in different ways. But for the most part, most of the U.S. cities they not working with ICE. More and more cities are starting to resist what Trump is doing because ICE they not bringing peace to the city or to these different cities and states. They really messing up everything because of ICE. You got fruits and vegetables not getting picked. You got houses and neighborhoods and buildings that's under construction that's not being built. You got car washes and restaurants and grocery stores that are now understaffed. You got white farm owners and white business and corporation owners. They understaffed now. So people are really suffering from what Trump and ICE is doing. So let's continue. And that's the Egyptian against Egyptian.
ICE is attacking them. I repeat, ICE is attacking local law enforcement in Portland, Oregon. TikTok is not showing videos of these things. The location of Portland, Oregon has been...
Okay, we've seen it already. So yeah, you got ICE out here attacking law enforcement. So Trump has placed his own personal police force above local law enforcement. And that's the thing because Trump, those presidential orders, that's the federal government, which is above the state government. So each state has its own government. The states can do their own thing. But see, the federal government, they can come and do what they want in each state. So Trump can tell these different state governments they need to do this and that, and the state government can say no. And if they say no, Trump, which is the federal government, he just send in the ICE and the National Guard to do what he want to do anyway. So that's how that works. So you got the different state governments against the federal government. So we're going to go to the next video. Now check this out. It says Texas National Guard troops arrive in Illinois ahead of expected Chicago deployment. So, Chicago, one of many cities that Trump is sending ICE and the National Guard to. And Chicago is like, we don't need ICE, we don't need National Guard, they don't need no help from Trump. So, what we about to see that there's a lot of resistance in Chicago and these other cities. But let's push play here.
Members of the Texas National Guard have arrived in Illinois and are expected on the streets of Chicago as early as tomorrow at the request of President Trump. It is the latest city targeted by what Trump has called a crackdown on crime. CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga has the very latest. Roughly 200 members of the Texas National Guard are arriving in the Chicago area. Now they'll attend operational debriefs ahead of deployment this week. They're fresh off of C-17 military planes and have already received civil disturbance training. Their assignment, well, the Pentagon has ordered these soldiers to protect federal law enforcement and property from what the Trump administration calls violent demonstrations. Of course, Illinois and Chicago have pushed back, sued. Their argument, they call the move
You hear that? Let's go back.
Of course, Illinois and Chicago have pushed back, sued.
See that? Chicago and Illinois, they have pushed back what Trump is trying to do. But not just Chicago and Illinois. Hey, these other cities and states, they trying to push back with what Trump is trying to do as well.
To protect federal law enforcement and property from what the Trump administration calls violent demonstrations. Of course, Illinois and Chicago have pushed back, sued. Their argument, they call the move baseless and unlawful, falling short of the legal requirements for the president invoking these emergency powers, even violating the Constitution.
And that's the argument on these different cities and states, that what Trump is doing is an unconstitutional use of power, pretty much abusing his authority, pretty much that he's not following, proper protocol, that Trump is going to these different cities and states doing as he pleases, without following proper protocol. But that's the Egyptian against Egyptian, state government versus federal government.
Federal judge is going to hear from both sides on Thursday. But before then, sources tell CBS News we'll see Texas National Guard pushed onto mission outside of ICE facilities in downtown Chicago and Broadview. And if the judge doesn't block this deployment, we can expect to see 300 more federal guardsmen, this time from Illinois, in the coming days. Now, if she does, well, President Trump says he's...
See that? And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. Now check this out. Texas National Guard troops arrive in Illinois. This is Isaiah 19:2. They shall fight everyone against his brother, everyone against his neighbor. That's a full-on civil war. It says city against city. This is what we see right here. Texas National Guard in Illinois. That's city against city. Democratic versus Republican. Red states versus blue states, red cities versus blue cities, because Texas is a red state. And I believe, Chicago is a blue city. So you're taking, the National Guard from one city and one state and bringing it to another city and state. That's city against city. And there's going to be a lot more of that. And then, you got ICE. They taking new applications, new ICE agents gonna be on the scene. They may take National Guard from another state and bring it to a Democratic city. They may take ICE agents, from one place and put them in another place. That's how you get city against city. So let's get to this next video real quick.
Walk the grounds of the Army Reserve Training Center, many of them likely getting accustomed to the chilly temperatures here compared to their home state of Texas. Most apparently arrived last night and are greeted by a lone demonstrator outside the training facility who was opposed to their presence in Illinois.
It is people from out of state coming to our state to try to tell us how to run our city.
See that? She said people from another state coming to their city, telling them how to run their city. That's city against city. This Egyptian against Egyptian. It's happening right now. It's gonna get a lot worse. And then see, we're gonna actually let's look up something in the Blue Letter Bible real quick. We're gonna look up this phrase, and they shall fight. Because he said the Egyptians, you Americans, against the American people, and they shall fight. So let's look at this up. They shall fight, H3898. Because don't think that this is gonna stay amongst ICE and law enforcement. This is gonna involve you American people as well. Y'all gonna get involved in this, and I'm gonna tell y'all how in a minute. They shall fight, do battle, make war. So this is they shall fight, everyone against his brother, everyone against his neighbor, city against city. It's gonna be a full-out war. It's gonna be a civil war right here in America. So let's get to this next video. This one is pretty funny. So this one, a brother GMS contrition is key. The prelude to civil war. ICE agents. Now check this out.
I'll show you that. So, hey, things are getting serious, man. There's a clear divide, and this divide is transitioning to something physical. Okay, so let's play this video.
And you see what it says. Firefighters chase out ICE. That's Egyptian against Egyptian.
Yeah, let's go.
So the point here, again, it's not going to be just among ICE agents and law enforcement. You see the firefighters getting involved. So more and more people are going to get involved as Trump enrolls new ICE agents, and more ICE agents are sent out. More National Guard are sent out. More military are sent out. There's going to be a bigger resistance and a bigger pushback from the American people who's against what Trump is doing, which at this point is most of America. You got some people who's with Trump and who's with ICE. That's why they becoming ICE agents. But it's going to be a bigger pushback from the American people. So now you see the firefighters, they getting involved. It don't stop here. We got another clip we're going to show. So let's keep it moving.
Go to the next video, man.
And you see this. Chicago deploys every SALT truck in the city to block ICE. And the SALT truck is pretty much the trucks that drop down salt in the winter in the Midwest and up north. So let's let this go.
Every single salt truck in the Chicago deployed every single salt truck in the city to block ICE. And there is something so patriotic about that. Watch.
You see that? Chicago deployed every salt truck to block ICE. So things are really heating up.
This comes after Trump just threatened the city of Chicago with an all-out war, to which the
War. Trump threatened who with the war? Hold on.
Just threatened the city of Chicago with an all-out war.
They threatened Chicago with a war. What the scriptures say? I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. They shall American people. They shall fight. Then when we go to that phrase, they shall fight. What it say? To fight, to do battle, to make war. This is civil war. And that's what Trump is doing. He's waging war against the American people. Not to mention, we did the lessons already. They renamed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And you know what came along with that. But we're going to let this video play out.
To which the mayor of Chicago responded, quote, "We must defend our democracy from..."
See, the mayors and the governors, they pretty much saying, we got to defend ourselves from what Trump and ICE is doing. That's the Egyptian against Egyptian. They fighting against one another.
Authoritarianism by protecting each other and protecting Chicago from Donald Trump. Trump claims he's targeting Chicago for their high crime rate, which is rather interesting considering their crime rate has decreased over the last several years. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has already made it known that he does intend to sue the administration if troops are deployed to Chicago.
See that? That's your Egyptian against Egyptian. The different governors and mayors pretty much trying to sue the Trump administration, going to the Supreme Court, trying to overrule what Trump is doing. And sometimes, Trump don't get his way, but Trump keeps pushing forward until eventually he gets his way. But, to help get his way, he got to push a false narrative that Chicago is out of control. He said Portland looks like World War II. And really, Portland and Washington is one of the most peaceful places you can be in all of America. But that's the Egyptian against Egyptian. It's going to start up top. All the conflict and drama within the government, within the Congress, in the White House is going to manifest and play out in the outside world. Trump going to deploy troops and ICE, and where their help is not wanted. People going to resist and push back. You see fire trucks chasing them out the city, salt trucks being deployed to block them. You got ICE attacking police officers, tear gassing them, tasing them, macing them, arresting them. But it's going to get a lot worse today because more ICE agents and National Guard and military troops are going to be deployed. So the only thing that people can do is resist and push back even more. But eventually, it's going to get violent. So let's get this in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 16. For there should be sedition among men. That means an uprising or rebellion against the government. And that's pretty much what this is. A rebellion against the government. Rebellion, it doesn't mean A rebellion is not always a bad thing. You can rebel against the government, against a good government, or you can rebel against the bad government. And right now, the people are rebelling against the bad government. For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes. Who's the king of Babylon right now? Trump. How are they not regarding Trump? Because with a king, he has officers. King is sending out his ICE agents; those will be his officers. And people like, hey, forget what Trump is doing. We don't need Trump. We don't need ICE. That's like trying to block them and push them out the city. That's them not regarding their king or princess. They don't care what Trump is talking about. They don't care what Trump is doing. They're going to resist and push back. That's them not regarding their kings or princes. It says in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So people going to do what they got to do to push back. People going to do everything they can to resist. That's why you saw the footage of the firefighters chasing ICE about the city. That's why you saw Chicago deploying all they SWAT trucks to block the ICE agents. That's the course of their actions standing in their power. People gonna take matters into their own hands. And what desperate time calls for desperate measures. Desperate times call for desperate measures. So as more ICE agents are deployed, they get more weapons, more military. The people gonna have to push back harder. The harder ICE come, the harder the people gonna have to push back, and that's how it's gonna become violent. So again, the course of the action shall stand in their power. That's why when you go up to verse 15, it says, "For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand up and fight against another." That's Egyptian against Egyptian. They shall fight everyone against his brother. What's one people standing up to fight against another? That's a race war. That's a class war. That's a political war. So you're going to have crimes on Democrats versus Republican, black versus white versus Mexican, the rich versus the poor, the middle class versus the rich. You see that? Liberal versus conservatives. You know, MAGA versus anti-MAGA. And anti-MAGA people who used to be Trump supporters who are no longer Trump supporters. So that's one people standing up fighting against another people. It's not going to always be based on race. Especially among white people, you know, they don't care if you white. You know, if you in a room full of Republicans and you a Democratic, hey, white people look at you like the enemy. They don't care you the same color or you the same people. They look at you, as a traitor. It says, "and swords in their hands." So that's what's next. That's that firepower. Hey, ICE is armed, and guess what? The American people are armed. So what you think coming next? As people get more desperate, as Trump sends more ICE agents, people got to push back harder. What you think coming next? For this to be sedition among men and invading one another. That's already happening. ICE is already invading the people. And guess what? People are beginning to attack and protest at ICE facilities. It's going to be a lot more of that. They should not regard their kings nor princes. And we went into that. People don't care who Trump is and what he's doing. Of course, the action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because martial law coming. Yep, martial law coming. It says, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Once upon a time, I thought, the cities would be troubled because of the criminals, the convicted felons, terrorists. But you know who the real terrorist is in America? ICE, white supremacy, MAGA, KKK, public shooters. They the real terrorists. So yeah, you're gonna have criminals and actual terrorist attacks. In America, you know trouble in the cities. But I believe who's gonna be doing most of this. ICE, law enforcement, military. That's who I think will be doing most of this. As it get worse out here because they already snatching up women. And you know how that go. It's a lot of stuff that's going unreported. So I believe actually, the police force, the military, the National Guard, different branches of the government, ICE. I believe it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be most of them that's troubling the cities. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. That's that firepower. And spoil their goods because of the lack of bread for great tribulation. So yeah, wait till Trump send out more ICE agents and the people gotta push back harder. Wait till all that happens in the middle of a food shortage. People not getting food stamps. People losing Section 8. Stores going empty. So yeah, civil war gonna start up top within the government, and it's gonna play out in the real world amongst the people, which is already happening. So yeah, man, more ICE agents gonna get sent out. The National Guard gonna be sent out to help the ICE agents. The military is gonna be deployed, and don't forget that ICE had $150 billion budget. So they're gonna come with all kind of weapons and military gear. And the thing is, there's only so many police officers, and they enrolling ICE agents by the tens of thousands. And ICE got a way bigger budget than the actual police force. So the police force, they can only resist ICE for so long. That eventually your police force, your local law enforcement, they're going to be overwhelmed by ICE. So how ICE is already attacking police officers, tear gassing them, tasing them, pepper spraying them. Well, when they get overwhelmed, they coming for you American people. ICE is way past going after what they call illegal immigrants. The goal is the American people, you Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. They're going at it with police officers and local law enforcement. When they get overwhelmed, you American people next. You're going to be attacked, harassed, detained, snatched up. And even us believers, we may get caught up in some of this. The difference is the Lord is going to be with us if we're part of the elect. Who's ever not a part of the elect, they're not going to make it out. So yeah, what ICE is doing, you people that's sitting on your couch, you laying in your bed, you sitting at the computer, you watching this stuff happen, the trouble's going to make its way to you. It's going to make its way to all of us. Because again, Egyptian against Egyptian, a civil war here in America. Only difference with us, if we part of the elect, the Lord is going to be with us. Hey, rather we get snatched up for a moment, rather we get through in a FEMA death camp for a moment, the Lord is going to deliver us. So Lord willing, that was informative, edifying. Till next time, Shalom.